Hello. Hello.
Hi, James. Hi.
So let's get started. Today what we're looking at is choosing 5 answers from the box and write the correct letters A to I. Next to questions 11 to 15. So we've got to find out which rooms are which, basically. And you've got a plan here. Like I say with all of these, always have a look through at what the answers are, so you know where to place these things. Yeah, let's get started then. So I'll read the next part. And what you're going to hear is a librarian of a Newtown library talking to a group of people who are visiting the library. So we'll get started here. Okay, everyone. So here we are at the entrance to the town library. My name is Anne, and I'm the chief librarian here. And you'll usually find me at the desk just by the main entrance here. So I'd like to tell you a bit about the way the library is organized and what you'll find where. And you should all have a plan in front of you. Well, as you see, my desk is just on your right as you go in. And opposite this, the first room on your left has an excellent collection of reference books and is also a place where people can read or study peacefully. Just beyond the librarian's desk on the right is a room where we have up-to-date periodicals such as the newspapers and magazines. And this room also has a photocopier in case you want to copy any of the articles. If you carry straight on, you'll come into a large room, and this is the main library area. There is fiction in the shelves on the left and non-fiction materials on your right. And on the shelves on the far wall, there is an excellent collection of books relating to local history. We're hoping to add a section on local tourist attractions too, later in the year. Through the far door in the library, just past the fiction shelves, is a seminar room, and that can be booked for meetings or talks. And next door to that is the children's library, which has a good collection of stories and picture books for the under 11s. And then there's a large room to the right of the library area. That's the multimedia collection, where you can borrow videos and DVDs and so on. And we also have CD-ROMs you can borrow to use your computer at home. It was originally the art collection, but that's been moved to another building. And that's about it. Oh, there's also the library office on the left of the librarian's desk. Okay. Now, does anyone have any questions? So we're going to have a look. So number 11 we're looking for. So the one on the left, that it's reference books. Because it says here, and opposite this, the first room, well, as you see, my desk is just on your right as you go in. And opposite this, the first room on your left has an excellent collection of reference books. Okay, so we know the reference books are opposite the librarian's desk. Let's look at 12, and 12 is G, periodicals. Just beyond the librarian's desk on the right is a room where we have up-to-date periodicals, such as newspapers and magazines. That answer number 12 is periodicals G.
So here, again, we need to be careful because obviously they give synonyms.
Yes. Absolutely. So you always, because that's often the case with English, you have different ways of expressing the same thing. Something to
remember when I studied at my school, I studied at Russian school and Russian English school, and each Russian teacher was saying, the Russian language is it has the biggest vocabulary among all the languages, and English teacher was saying the same at school, and obviously statistics wins as usual. So English is one of the richest by amount of words. As I remember, it has 160,000 words or so.
Yeah, well, I think it's hundreds of thousands there are. So if you're going to look into the specifics. But I think, so English has a lot of synonyms because it is a language that likes to borrow words from different languages, so especially Latin and French. But there are words, quite a few words from Greek as well. And, as in then there's words from all kinds of different languages, so.
Even from Hindi.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are, so there are a number of words, like, for example, a one-story house is a bungalow. On the ground floor is a bungalow, for example. I think that's Hindi, but I would need to check. That. Then you've got specific clothing varieties like sari, sawakami.
Divine. The word divine.
Divine. Yeah.
Yes.
I forgot about that one, actually. Yeah, Deva. Yeah, of course, divine. Yeah, that makes sense. And not even just Hindi in terms of the Indian languages, as in one of the other ones, curry, for example, comes from Tamil. So it's so you can get them from all kinds of languages. I think a mistake people make when they talk about what an easy language is I personally believe that languages have different things that are easy and different things that are difficult. So if you take, for example, Mandarin, the tones are very difficult, the writing is very difficult, but the tense system is incredibly straightforward and simple. So English, it's easy in some regards. We don't really have grammatical gender. We have one definite article. We have two indefinite articles, and it's clear when you use one or the other because it's to do with vowels and sounds. But there are a lot of tenses. So there are virtually no cases, but there are a lot of tenses. And there's a specific order you have to get right for using multiple adjectives, which is also very difficult. And then the spelling can sometimes be very counterintuitive. So I think that often happens with languages. They're easier in some regards and more difficult in others. So I think, as in the truly easy languages tend to be constructed languages. But constructed languages are, it's the only group of languages I don't really consider to be proper languages, because then they don't have a cultural history. They don't have a history of people using it in a particular place or a particular time. So that's, so of course they would be easier because somebody made it up.
Yeah. And then they are unnatural, right? Like programming languages.
Yeah, exactly. Or Esperanto, for example, which is based on a bit of a mixture of mostly the Romance languages and to an extent the Germanic languages. And, I think constructed languages are interesting when you try to reconstruct long dead languages that are. So I think, for example, it's interesting when you're trying to find out what Proto-Slavic sounded like, or what Proto-Germanic sounded like, or what, Proto-Indo-European sounded like. There it's interesting. And there was a very unusual case with this one, which was, so there was a game called Far Cry Primal. It's set in Europe about 12,000 years ago. And so they actually got linguists to hypothesize, to look at Proto-Indo-European and then make it sound older. So it's a fascinating case, actually, if you listen to them speaking this language. And they even gave it a couple different dialects. So one of the dialects used in it is closer to standard Proto-Indo-European. And then another one is an older sound. And then there's another one that's less complex, that's spoken by another group in the game. But it's absolutely fascinating, though, to listen to it. It's really, it's quite cool. So, so I think constructed languages there are cool because you're trying to work out what people sounded like tens of thousands of years ago. That's quite interesting, I think.
True.
So we'll continue. So where did we get to? It was periodicals, wasn't it? So now we're looking for number 13, which is in the library area.
So why we started discussing these things, because guys, be very careful when you prepare for IELTS that there are a lot of synonyms. And as I remember, so there are books, IELTS preparation books, which have tasks which can help you to understand differences between the synonyms, because some synonyms, they have differences and you can be again caught and make mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. And because sometimes you can find something that is only used in a specific context, for example, and it just doesn't sound right when it's used in another context. So, so that's something to be very, very careful of. Let's look at number 13. So for this one, it's the local history collection. And we know that because they mention here specifically, there is fiction on in the shelves on the left, non-fiction on the right. And on the shelves on the far wall, there is an excellent collection of books relating to local history. So we know that's in the library area, and you can see fiction and non-fiction are written on the left and right. Let's look at number 14, B. So 14 is B, it's children's books. And we know it's children's books because if you have a look further, exactly, because if you have a look, and next door to that is the children's library, which has a good collection of stories and picture books for the under 11s. Exactly. And we know that because they talked about the seminar room. We know where that is. So 14 is the children's books. Then number 15 is, of course, multimedia. Okay, because we can see then there's a large room to the right of the library. That's the multimedia collection, where you can borrow videos and DVDs.
Again, beginning of 2000s.
Good old days before the internet, you could borrow videos and TV. Well, at least they didn't say like cinema reels or something like that. Yes.
True.
That's quite funny. It's quite funny when they have these things mentioned, isn't it? So multimedia, exactly. So we've got multimedia on the right-hand side. Exactly. And once again, so because, the options were H, G, D, B, and F. So a number of them weren't included. And that often happens when you've got these multiple choice, that there'll be some that aren't included on the list. So be careful for that as well. Yeah, that's good.
Cool. And as usual, guys, if you don't have enough self-discipline or you are tight in time, we invite you to our schools to prepare for your IELTS. Right, you can write down us on our social media or on WhatsApp. And see you guys in the next videos. Bye.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.